So, good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's guest photographer session. Hi, Audrey. I know you're in the wings. Are you okay?
Yes, I'm like sitting here. I don't know what I'm doing or what's
Yes, you do. You
what's
know exactly
scary.
what you're doing. I'm really pleased to have you with us tonight. Obviously, been introduced by Fundy to us, but when we had your stuff sent over and I had a quick scan through, obviously, to find out a little bit more about you, I absolutely fell in love with this image here. I know we're going to talk about your fine art and your personal projects, but absolutely fell in love with that image and I wanted to know more about the person who took it. So I'm really, really excited about tonight's presentation. I know you're going to talk about yourself as part of the presentation. So obviously, I know that that's part of it. So we won't get too far into it. So let's give you the screen and make sure that we can see everything clearly. So that's going to come over to you now. And let's make sure I give it to the right person because I've got two A's in the panel. So I'll give it to Audrey. There we go.
Am I good to go?
Yeah, you just need to put that into full screen mode, and I think you're good to go. I can see it nice and clear. I can hear you loud and clear. Now, Audrey, we have discussed it. Obviously, people, you're a little bit worried about your accent. Obviously, we've been chatting all day,
Yes.
so I'm quite
If
used
I'm
to it.
talking fast and the tempo has to be slowed down, please let me know. Because if I get excited and get into things as well, I tend to talk really fast.
That's no problem.
Um,
I'll keep you
so
prompted there if we need to slow you down. It's
yeah.
no problem.
So one thing I did want to say to all the attendees was I know that there's a few people has probably logged in that has went to my class. I know Sally has messaged me today to say that she couldn't wait for my webinar tonight. I just kind of want to say that it's not on my fine artwork. I wish it was, but this is more about my workflow, so it frees up time for my fine artwork, if that makes sense. So if anybody's looking to see how I do my work, unfortunately it's not kind of in this presentation. It's more about the structure of my business and how I've kind of laid everything out and freed up my time to make way for my fine art projects. So yeah, but you see how many people drops out now, maybe? No?
Oh no, not at all. And to be honest with you, before I hand it all over to you, it doesn't mean that this has to be the only one we do. So if you'd like to come back and talk about that, I would happily host that. And
Well,
obviously,
we'll do this one first, Jay.
I won't put you on the spot. Let's get this one
It's so
done.
weird. It's so weird talking to a screen. It's okay whenever it's like a class full of people and you can see the faces.
I
But
can
I'm
ass-
actually talking.
I can assure you, you're not talking to a screen. They're all there sitting in. I can hear them, and they're already putting some information in the question panel. So we've definitely got an audience for you, Audrey. I can promise
Am
you.
I able to see the questions, Jay, or not?
You
No.
might have trouble seeing them now that you're in presenter mode. So that it depends on your split screen, but you might be able to see the question panel if you open it. But I'm not sure what happens as a presenter because it's a different panel for me as an organizer. But
Okay, well,
I've got them
that's
all
fine.
here, so don't worry about them. I'll go through everything with you, so it's not a problem on that.
Okay.
So
Well,
I'm gonna hand it all over to you. I'm gonna go quiet, and then I'm here if you need me. All right.
don't keep going anywhere. Don't be going like tea or anything. Stay here with me.
I'm staying
So
here.
as you probably can tell, this is a wee bit daunting for me. I've never done a webinar before, and seems really weird, but I hope you all enjoy it. And I always find that if you get at least one piece of information from people like myself, then it was worth listening. Thankfully, I've got out of doing the dishes because I had to make the dinner early to come out to do this. Um, so yeah, so I'm going to start just with probably, as we all do, talking a wee bit about ourselves. So those that know me and those that don't know me, I'm a photographer and I say a business owner. I do weddings mainly. I do portraits, newborns, families, and like every kind of day portrait end of things. And then this is my new love, my fine art, which people probably know me more for. But my weddings and my portrait stuff would be more my everyday kind of work. This is just my personal projects and the sort of work that I put into the awards and things like that. I'm also an award winner, which I'm forever always thankful for. I'm a qualified graphic designer by trade, I say, and I fell into then photography, but I'll talk about that in a minute. And I say, most importantly, I'm a mum. So actually, this talk is really tailored towards even like mums and that as well. So you'll hear my story anyway later on. And this is all new: educator, speaker, trainer, and of most recent a judge. So that's kind of me in a nutshell there at the minute. So this is actually the exercise that I did with Jonathan from Fundy. Andrew would know this. And you know, I actually didn't really realize that I didn't know myself until I did this exercise. So basically, I did this little exercise with Jonathan, and he's come up with these words for me. So whenever he did these words, I was like, oh my God, actually, that is so me. So this is how I actually do run my business. So, and this is who I am. So I'm visionary, I'm creative. So this is all stuff that's important to me. I love what I do, as we all do. I'm driven, and I always stay honest within my business. So if I feel uncomfortable with something, I don't do it. I don't care if it's going to make me a fortune of money. I don't do it. If I can't sleep at night, then it's not worth me even contemplating doing it. So yeah, so this is basically me again, with my words. Jake, do you see this screen? See these little like tab down like tool things? Can I get rid of these, or
Yes,
stay
you
on?
can do. So
Can you see them?
no, I can't see them. Only you can see them. But you know the little orange arrow that I told you about?
Okay.
If you, that'll minimize it for you.
Yes. Oh, because it kind of covers up my slideshow a wee bit. Okay, yeah, perfect. I've started it now. Okay. So my inspiration into photography was my Granny Mullen. Granny, unfortunately, didn't have a great start in life. She was an orphan. Her parents gave her up because here in Ireland, back in the 1900s, it was frowned upon to have children out of wedlock. So unfortunately, then was sent to the nuns. And she was brought up with the nuns. She had a really bad life. And she was sent out to slave, and she came out of the nuns, or she came out, obviously when she was 16 or like 18, she was able to leave. And then we always believed that Granny then, defined, like if the kind of theory on like if somebody as a child has a bad upbringing, then like they end up like not being able to share any love and so we just found that Granny then was just always that inspiration for us, that she just, although her hard life at the start, she still was this really strong, powerful minded woman. Like so actually, because family family wasn't anything that she ever had known until she met my granda. So whenever her and granda got together, obviously they made a family. So they had 10 children. So whenever they were younger, Granny used to always take so many photographs. So it's then I, obviously being the grandchild, I used to go and look back at these photographs, and it really inspired me into photography. And I just thought, I just think that's lovely that you've got just something there for record. So obviously if I didn't take these photos, then I wouldn't, as a grandchild, wouldn't have been able to see it. So yeah, so that's my story into how I was inspired into photography. Actually, I'm a big lover of the film industry as well. I love films. My favorite film genre would be horror. Anybody that knows me and knows my work, you kind of can tell now that I'm not actually insane. I just have a real love for horror films, and it comes across in my work. Then my more fine artwork. So yeah, so that's just a wee bit about how I kind of got inspired into photography. Again, my graphic design was there as well, and I just I actually wanted to do more film kind of end of things, but Northern Ireland had absolutely no opportunities because it's crap. And if I wanted to do anything film industry, I would have had to have went to London, and it just wasn't the case back then because I had Chloe, my daughter, so I wasn't able to move away. So I just picked up the camera, and I always say that I'm doing storytelling in stills rather than motion. So that's now why my fine artwork actually does look like movies from a still, or stills from a movie. Sorry. So yeah, so hopefully these things kind of make sense to you whenever you kind of know my work, and now you can, I'm talking about myself a wee bit, you can see where it's come from or in the background from it. So basically then I have my premises. I opened up, purpose-built the studio in 2012. I love everything nature. I grew up on a farm, so all my stuff, like my newborns and all, is very nature inspired, moss and nests and things like that. Like I just love all nature kind of things. So that was kind of the feel of my studio as well. It's not this clean now. Isn't it wonderful how whenever like you are taking photographs, your studio ends up being so clean, and then this isn't how it looks now. It's actually pretty messy. But so yeah, so this is how my studio, this is my workspace and my studio space. And this was a wee place that I had opened then in a high street shop about 20 minutes away from me. Because I built my studio at home, I had no passing trade as such. So I then went to like a high street just to try and get some passing trade. This is a wee promo video that I did. I don't know if it's going to work. It might not. It's not very long. So I'll maybe try it and see if it works. Okay, I hope you are all still there, and I'm really not talking to myself or talking to the computer.
But anyway, the videos.
Oh, you're still there? Okay.
We are still here. No, the videos will play, but they're going to play differently for everybody depending on their internet. So it was a bit jumpy for me, but as we discussed earlier, we can put it in properly into the recording for you, so they can.
Okay. Yeah, it's not that important anyway. So this is a wee place then. I then decided then last year to close that place just to kind of free myself up a wee bit more. It was just another thing just to look after, and I since have had so much like even financial freedom. I've just had so much more time on my hands then because I give up that other wee place. And then again, that helps then with the likes of like my fine artwork and doing personal projects and that. So this is like my 3 different brands that I've created because I like to do so many different kind of avenues. And I found if I was trying to run under the one kind of brand, say C2 Photography, which C2 stands actually for my 2 children's names, Chloe and Ken. So this is what I had created first in 2009 on a part-time basis, and then so it was like my weddings, my newborns, families, and it was all studio based. And then but I wanted to kind of reach out to like the more luxury kind of brand of portraits, so that's where this comes in. Plus actually I ended up doing this like a generic name because at that time I was getting married, so I couldn't use my maiden name because I was starting the company as I was getting married, so I couldn't use my maiden name because I knew then I would have to end up changing it. So this is how I then always wanted to use my personal name as well. So I created this brand, which is more like high-end weddings, fine art portraits, and it could be on location kind of shoots as well. And this is where actually my training and workshops and mentoring is all going to land in as well. And then I've also got my Audrey Kelly Fine Art, which is my personal projects. It's for competitions, exhibits, fine art, and the galleries end of things. Like so, this is my wee play area here. This is my bread and butter, and this is my kind of training and more kind of high end things. So I just found it that it was really easy for me to do then my marketing that whenever I had 3 different kind of distinctive brands, because I knew that this audience is different from this audience and obviously different from this audience. So I knew then that I could then use each of these and then market them all differently because they're completely different clienteles. I just found that then it worked easier and nobody was getting confused. So I thought, like if my weird kind of horror stuff was fitting in along with my C2 stuff, my newborn families and babies would all kind of be getting confused. So I just thought it was easier for me to split the brands and to keep them all separate and market them different ways. So I hope that makes sense to you all. So this is my little, just before we go any further, this is my what do you call them? My like Facebook, Instagram, email. So you can go on and you can add me as a friend even on Facebook if you want to see all my personal life. I'm going to show this at the end anyway if anybody wants to see it again. Okay, so getting started. Let's get started now. So for me, my workflow starts from within. A lot of people, I feel, forget about your inner kind of health. So I actually find that, and I had touched on this a lot at my talk on SWB last month. It's all about nourishing. As creatives, we neglect like the biggest asset that we actually have, which is our mind. So at the minute, I'm actually like, well, I have been for a long time. I've been really just trying to nourish my mind and making sure that I am as creative as I can possibly be. And there's no way of doing that but to kind of keep it healthy and nourished. So I say that you have to nourish your biggest assets, your heart, your body, your mind. Starts with something so simple, but drinking water is, I know they all say it in the textbooks, whatever, like, but drinking water does make a massive difference. So I say, you know, for your brain and that, keeping yourself hydrated, it can make you just think quicker. If you're hydrated or dehydrated, you know, you just know that you're sluggish and that, and your mind's obviously sluggish. So for me, I have to keep myself hydrated every day, even for the likes of, I've added, well, I do like a training program, like a PT has me on a training program, and he's added in these good fats into my diet as well. So even things as simple as like, so cut out all that shitty food, and add in some even good diet and good fats. So nuts and coconut oil and avocado, like them's all kind of good brain foods, and good for your mind and good for your brain. Well, maybe more your brain than your mind, but your mind is your brain, I think. So I don't know. So yeah, so I hope that doesn't seem a bit weird to you, but for me, it works. You will soon find out that I actually won't hold anything back. This is everything that I do. You can some people might find it weird. My husband has just learned to live with it, and he still loves me for it, thank God. But my Chloe thinks I'm weird. But for me, this is me. This is like stuff that I would do every day. So like that I like to take a break. So taking a break from work can make so much difference to your mind and your mindset. Like I see me going to the cinema there, just taking a day out to the cinema, and I could then just come up with an idea, just even sitting in the cinema. So you just take yourself away from your hustle bustle and just let your mind rest on something else, and then ideas and stuff can start to come. So this is something, as again, I hope everybody's doing this. If not, you have to start. So meditation, allow even like 10 to 15 minutes, even 5 minutes a day is all you need, just to kind of let your mind rest. So like so many people, and I know just as the way or the world is, like it's just so hustle bustle, so busy, social media, everything's going mental. Like, you see, if you just take like that even 5 minutes out and just let your mind rest and just do nothing, don't think about anything, then it's so much good. There's so much good out of it now. So I have this wee app that I actually have given my husband as well. He is like isn't into anything like this, and I found that this was pretty good, this Headspace. It's not like anything weird or anything, and it kind of guides you through like meditation. So yeah, so if you aren't meditating, please meditate. It's really good for your mind and good for your soul. So yeah, again, listening to music. I listen to music while I work. I know there's going to be loads of people out there it's the same, but my most negative thing in my workflow is culling, wedding culling. So it's that selecting process or deletion process, whatever anybody wants to call it. So it just drives me insane. I'm a creative and it just drives me mad. So I have come up with a way to try and get my way through it. So now I actually have my iPad and I'll listen to music, or I'll even, watch something that I'm interested in, just to kind of keep myself in a more positive kind of vibe. So when you wake up, I listen to music when I wake up just to get myself jazzed up. I listen to music when I'm in the shower. So it's just things like that, just to get your day going, and even during out the day, just listening to music. I hope this all makes sense. Things aren't thinking I'm crazy. So this is something as well. This is going really deep now. Frequency balance. So we all work on frequencies and things as human beings in the earth, and apparently we all have to keep in sync with that. So it's all about positive vibes, brain waves, and things like that. This is a meditation mind channel that I listen to, and it has like all these like brainwave kind of miracle tones, they call it, for the mind and for the brain. And apparently it just keeps us all in sync and keeps us balanced. So yeah, it could be all just a feat of I don't know, bullshit. But for me it works. I'm just I actually am telling everybody about this because I think, if you can better yourself in any way possible, even if it doesn't seem to work or seems a bit crazy out there, then there's no harm done. It's not, it's not going to do any harm. If anything, it's going to do you good. So yeah, so being positive as well. Anybody knows me, I'm extremely positive, and I try and reject negativity. So this is all just things that you should fit into your daily just workflow. It will filter down to everything. If you're negative, it filters down to your family, it filters down to dealing with your clients, it filters down to the work that you produce. So I just think that you always have to be positive, and just try and reject just any negativity. If there's negative people in your life, apparently you have to get rid of them. So yeah, so just try and see the bright side of things, really, and just always have a good outlook on things. This is like something that I've kind of become obsessed with, like buying these journals with all these positive sayings and that. So it's all about staying positive. So don't fool yourselves, you know, just keep staying positive, because it is actually contagious. So positivity is contagious. This was actually my wee girl's room. Chloe, she's now 14. So whenever she can feel my positive energy. So whenever I actually went into like make her bed or something one day, I had these were up in her room. And I could have cried because I was like, oh my God, she actually like has learned something from me. So that was me like learning at first hand that like positivity and like how much it's contagious, and it does pass through to people that you live with and people that you surround yourself with. So just stay positive, and just keep putting it out there. So again, goals and plans, I think, again, I'm very visionary, but I have to write everything down as well. So this is something that I had created probably about 2014, a 5-year plan. If you haven't done a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan, please do one. I've had to figure out everything, because then it's great then that you know what action that you need to do before you need to do it, if that makes sense. So in 2016, I would know what I would have to do for 2017 to make whatever goals I have possible. It's great then. There's so much satisfaction whenever you can score things off. So yeah, so make sure you do a goal plan. So yeah, so always strive to be the best. As you know, I'm very active in the awards scene. I never take it for granted. I always think there's always somebody better than you. And I think as long as you always believe that there's somebody better, then it will always make you keep pushing and pushing and pushing. So I'm always learning. I'm always like pushing myself to be the best. And this is the only way here that you can kind of get like that kind of reassurance that you're doing something right. So I like to keep myself active in the competitions and all. So I've entered the SWPP, the WPPI. We have our own local, like the PPNI, which I'm a finalist in 9 categories this year, which I'm really excited about. And it's probably the one, although it's local, it's probably the one that I get most scared over. I guess because it's like my competitors, but the talent's actually really good. So yeah, so always enter. Don't like just push yourself into something that you're uncomfortable with. So competitions and that being judged can be really uncomfortable, and when you're putting your work out there. So yeah, so that's actually why I do my fine artwork as well. You know, some people say you shouldn't shoot for competition, but I very much shoot for competition, and actually it's like a therapy to me. You know, I've had like, there in November, I had like a hectic wedding season, so my mind was just full of weddings, and it was just diluted with weddings. And I actually was doing my SWPP talks in January, and I thought, do I even have it still? So I actually then had to go out and do a creative shoot on, I think it was November time I did it, and that's the one I did of the house, if anybody has seen it. It's the one that won the God, what did I win? Illustrative Photographer of the Year for the SWPP, and that came to light because I had a hectic wedding season, and I just needed to get out there to see if I still had something in me, and just, as I say, therapy. So just go out there, and you don't even necessarily have to have a plan. Just go out and just shoot for the sake of shooting, and then if it's good enough, then it's great that you can enter it into the competition. So yeah, so we should all be so thankful that we're doing what we love. There's so many people out there that are in jobs and will be waking up tomorrow morning going to a job that they absolutely dread and hate. And as I say, that just filters down to their family life and their personal life and just everybody around them. So it's so important that like we have gratitude that we are all, I take it you are all photographers out there and you're all loving what you're doing, like me. So like, you know, don't moan about your job. I know there is stressful times about it, and times, you know, you can get like difficult clients and all, but you know, you have to still think, and you know, we are in a job that we really, really love. You know, I love getting up every morning. If I'm not doing wedding calling, that is, I hate wedding calling, as you probably guessed. But there's just no way out of it. So yeah, so we should all just be so grateful that we are in something that we actually really love. And that was a saying from the great Steve Jobs. Okay, so my motivation is being a good mum now. My story behind my turning point in this whole like workflow thing and how I've restructured my business was the fact that whenever I was starting out, I actually felt like I was a really bad mum. I have 2 children, and I think at that time, like they were maybe about like 3 and like 3 and 10. So I just was working endless hours, maybe 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, just trying to get stuff done, and just the weans were suffering. And one day I just thought, do you know something? I just can't take it anymore. I was missing out on so much stuff that was happening with the weans, like during their younger years, and like I just had my priorities all wrong. I was more worried about like getting an album out for a client, opposed to like, you know, having time in my weans, which I feel like when it comes to that point in your business, you have to have a word with yourself. So I had a word with myself, and that's why I started to take action and started to put these like little they're kind of they're self-made, but they've worked such a treat for me. So that's what I'm going to kind of talk about now. So this is actually my only family portrait. So all you photographers out there, I need a family portrait. This is Ken when he was about 4. He painted this picture, and it's the only family portrait we have to date. So please, if anybody can offer to take my family portraits, please do. So that was my turning point, is family time. I need that more family time, you know, because life is too short. Although we're working to live kind of thing, but we also have to forget, like, you know, we have to have the good times as well, our family. And you know, what's the point in working and making money if you can't enjoy it with your family? So yeah, so this was me before. So it's about finding the right balance. So before I put all these actions that I'm going to tell you into place, this was a 24-hour day basically for me. So I was working about 13 hours, had hardly any sleep, had less family time, and I had absolutely hardly no me time. It must have been just to eat and to go to the toilet, or I don't know what it was to do. So like I was working like half the time of the week. So this is now me now, which is a lot more balanced, and this would be a pretty accurate. Yeah, would be pretty accurate. So yeah, so you can see that I stick to work hours now. I don't work overtime or anything like that. I work just what I need. I have a proper sleep, but I still only have that two hours a day for myself. So yeah, so it's about self-structure. So it's basically about, for me, like so many people take their diary and they let the public control their diary. And I just thought, you know, why do we do that? So for me then, I then took my diary and I started to have control. So I then would have said, you know, if somebody wanted an appointment in, I would have told them when I'm free rather than when they were free. So this is what I was doing beforehand. So this is whenever I was working endless hours, not having any family time, no me time, and like not getting any sleep at night. I was like, if anybody had to rang me up for an appointment in the studio, for a wedding, for whatever, I would have been free every single day, every night of the week. So then it ended up that I was just working all the time. Do you know, and I think it's because I was too eager as well to get the, you know, whenever you're starting out, you're kind of eager to get the clientele, to get your reputation all built up. But for me, that's where it went wrong. And I just then, you start then to kind of, you start then to hate your work, and because you're working too much, and it starts then to have this negative kind of effect on your life and on your work life. And then it's, as again, it just filters through to everything else. So what I then started to do was I thought, so this is me now. I thought, rather than me, if somebody rings me up, rather than them telling me when they're free, I will tell them when I'm free. So even though if I hadn't even an appointment in on, say, the Tuesday, which is my shoot days, I would have told them, but my default hour was always like 2 o'clock, because I always liked like after lunch. So I would have told them, okay, I'm free at 2 o'clock on Tuesday, or I'm free at 2 o'clock on Thursday, or I'm free on Saturday. These are my shoot days. Because what I found was, what was happening to me in the studio was that on any of these days that I was in the studio, I might have been up editing a wedding or calling a wedding or doing album design, and then a newborn would have come in. And I would have been like, oh crap. So what I had went downstairs, done a 3-hour shoot in newborn, come back upstairs again to start back in my editing and wedding. And for me, it just fired me off. And I felt like it just really messed up my workflow and my production kind of time. So I thought if I had a day and a mindset that I woke up on a Tuesday and I knew it was shoot day, that I knew that that day I had shoots on all that day. Again, for a Wednesday, I don't take any appointments on a Wednesday or a Friday. Most times I have weddings on a Friday anyway, that's okay. But if I'm free from weddings, it's my edit days. Also, if I have any time free in Tuesday or Thursdays, I do fill in the slot, obviously, with editing or any other kind of appointments, but I don't just go shopping or something. So I just think that structured, you know, and then you wake up that morning, it's a mindset. So whenever somebody rings you up, you can then say, you can then dictate to them which nights you're, or which days that they'll come to you. And if it doesn't suit, if that week doesn't suit, just pass them on to the next week. Like I will never do a shoot on a Wednesday or a Friday. Again, the late nights as well. I have 2 available late nights, which is 9 o'clock, or sorry, 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock. 2 nights, that's it. And also I have a day off. I feel like because we work on Saturdays at weddings, it's kind of like a hairdressing hours, and if they're entitled to a day off on a Monday, then I'm entitled to a day off on a Monday. So this day as well I use to do my own personal stuff. And again, I could be chocker blocked and really snowed under with work, but I will never give up my day off, because again, it's about your mind and it's about keeping yourself you know, free from that kind of stress. So like these days off, like I go to the gym and I do other kind of my own personal things, like and I don't even mind, because I know I'll come back on Tuesday and I'm ready to go and I'm ready to do a work week. This structure mightn't work for everybody, but this is what works for me, as in running a portrait in a wedding studio. Again, I take a Sunday off. I don't work on a Sunday. I don't believe in working on Sundays. So yeah, it's family time. So probably talked about that too much. So like I believe that, like, you know, there's only like 22 slots that I can do anyway. So that's where I can do it. So I'm only targeting 46. So I'm going to rush through this kind of pretty quick. So again, it's about, like, you know, knowing your targets as well. So like I know that I can only do that many newborns, but I don't want to do 6 newborns. My target's only maybe about 1 or 2 newborns a week. So then, you know, I know that I can use them days, use them up. So again, my wedding calendar, then editing and album design, then I do them on the Wednesdays and the Fridays, or they'll be done in between appointments on the Tuesdays, Thursdays, or Saturdays. And that's something else that I have done just through these years, is limit my weddings. I know there's a lot of people starting to do this now, but I then had like worked myself, like, I don't know what, in 2011, as you see. 40 weddings mightn't seem a lot for a lot of people, but for me it was like nearly breaking point, because I was like, I had my son was only born, so I had a newborn. I also was trying to grow my business, and I was trying to, you know, do my portraits and other things as well. So 40 weddings was a lot for on your own, and that kind of took effect on my reputation a wee bit too in the early days. And then I just had to put like these things in plan. So then I started to drop them down. So the more I dropped them down, the more I put the price up. So like I'm now doing only 20 weddings. I've structured myself to 20 weddings a year. I'm still getting the same price as like 25 or 30 from the other previous years. So it's trying to be clever that way. So again, because I'm doing a lot of workshops and I'm getting my revenue in other areas, I'm able to do this. So I'm able then to kind of, you know, free up my time with the weddings, because they do take probably the majority of everybody's time is weddings. Like, so yeah, limit your booking. So for me as well, this added and created like an exclusivity. So like I get a lot of people now that you know, would talk among their friends saying like, oh my god, how did you actually get her? She's really hard to book now. So because I have added this exclusivity, you could say, it's kind of become a wee bit more desirable to get me. So it's like you become like a designer brand. Oh, that doesn't sound really boastful, because I'm not boastful. This is what it's created, unknown to myself. So you become that higher demand, and you actually do get earlier bookings as well. Whenever you kind of say that you're taking on less weddings, you're only maxing your numbers. So you just have to know how many you need versus how many you want as well. So wedding workflow, this is where hopefully Andrew will come in soon too. So my wedding workflow is pretty simple. I think everybody kind of does the same. So I work with Lightroom and I work with Fundy. I've only recently started using, maybe this last year, I've started to use Fundy. Before that, I was using, you know, just the album software that everybody, or like the album company would have given me. And it was always very sluggish. And definitely with Fundy, then it's really has ups my pace a lot with album designs. So my whenever I get a wedding, then I will obviously come home, back it up, and then I bring in my images into Lightroom. I think a lot of people use Lightroom anyway for that, and then that's where I would do my culling. I know people do a selection. I don't. I like to reject. But it doesn't make any difference. So I would reject my pictures first, and then delete all rejected images. And then I have the images that I'm going to edit. So whenever I just do all my first edits in Lightroom, and then they're exported out then to go on to the likes of Fundy. So I think I'm actually going to, oh God, maybe I'm talking too quick. I think I'm nearly at the end of my slides nearly. Jay, are you there? Is anybody there?
We are here. We're here. We're all still with you. I wasn't sure. You mentioned earlier. Were you going to go into Fundy, Audrey? Is that what you were planning to do?
Yeah, so I'm going to actually just show. I wanted to just show. This is like the first album. So whenever I got the Fundy software, I am a graphic designer, which I do believe has an advantage whenever you are doing album designs. You know, and I'm pretty picky when it does come to album designing, but nevertheless, that's whenever Fundy came, I like anybody could be a graphic designer. I felt like, so this was my sample album that I used for my very first go at Fundy. What I loved about it was like features that my other software companies or the other album softwares didn't have. So it was the likes of like these clusters here, you know, that you could resize them, and just everything was so simple, and even like drag and drop as well. You know, like simple things like this, where this was all done very manual and very sluggish, and the other softwares, I just found then this a real dream to work with, and I just felt that, you know, I probably created this sample album within I would say about 20 minutes. You know, I was just able to select the pictures that I wanted, and you know, you can do all different layouts and stuff. So like you could change the layouts to different and then you can do your own custom designs as well. So yeah, I find it just such a difference then whenever I started using my my Fundy software. As much as I enjoy this bit, so if I get the wedding calling over me and then I'm on to my software design or my album design, and this is a bit then that I'm more at ease and I actually do enjoy it, but Fundy's made it that so much better. Like, I don't know if Andrew, I don't know if you want to talk any about Fundy. Are you there?
Hey, Audrey. So it's funny. I actually came from designing in Photoshop is how I used to design, and I hated it. And it was so slow, but all of the programs out there were, you know, based on templates. So they were like little open holes, and you'd had, you know, if you wanted to change the design, it was really difficult. So I actually, when I first went to college, I was in a mathematics track. And so mathematics was an area that I really liked. So I just viewed design as a math problem, because ultimately we want to feature some images, and then the other images we want to have all of the edges aligned. And that's where those drop zones came in, the orange boxes came in. So no matter what you put in there, it's going to line everything up on the edge. And then, you know, simple things like swapping verticals and horizontal photos. So I wanted to be really simple and fast if you don't really have any graphic design background, but then if you do and you come from Photoshop or InDesign or something like that, you can do all of the same things, but just a lot faster.
Yeah, it lines everything up for you. You know, no matter how much you move it or that, it keeps it all.
Yeah.
Because I actually had it individually in my other softwares. I had to actually individually like place these all together, make sure that they were all in line. whereas this does it for you.
Yeah. And that was one of the key concepts for me, is that photos have to travel in groups on the page, because you're designing in clusters of photos, not individual photos.
Yeah. Well, this has been a lifesaver for me, actually. And it's just sped up that the album design. Well, I would be a quick album designer, but I think you're only as good as the tools that you have, really. So this has made it super quick for me now. So yeah,
from us,
feature.
Sorry, Audrey, I didn't mean to interrupt. It was quite interesting, Andrew, to hear you say then that from us here, with Mark being the main album designer within our business, prior to Fundy, we hadn't found anything. So like yourself, we were doing it by hand. We were doing it not by hand, but doing it in Photoshop. And Mark went and spent days creating his own Photoshop templates for our album designs, and then importing those out, to Loxley in our case here, as our lab. But the day he found Fundy, it was like it happens occasionally, and Fundy was definitely one of them. I get a shout. I'm in a different office, and it's like, JJ, you've got to check this out. And I remember, I think it was about 4 years ago, Andrew, when he found Fundy, that he just went, "This is a game changer, mate." And he showed me the finished album, and he'd done it in half an hour or 40 minutes, knowing Mark, because he learns things in and out, and he just went. And ever since then, we've never looked back. So
that's great.
Yeah, and I think it's, as you said, Audrey, with your background being graphic design, as much as you are a graphic designer and you love that element, these things,
Yeah.
I love your term, the wedding cull. I've never heard that term before. Obviously, so I think it's great, but I have to ask, and I made a note that you were talking about music in your workflow and when you were doing your cull. Do you choose aggressive music when you're doing your cull?
No, I feel like deleting everything. They wouldn't have any photographs left.
Excellent.
I
just thought,
but,
I had this vision of you
now. Watching things.
I just had this vision of you doing the wedding cull with some really sort of heavy metal sort of going on or something like that.
There has to be other people out there that hate that part of their workflow. And I just feel like I can get rid of it. I just feel like I'm very personal when it comes to selecting the pictures as well. It's just something I know there's loads of people out there, loads of companies out there that can do your editing and do your wedding culling and things like that. But I feel like it's something that I need to do myself. Do you know what I mean? So I've got no way out of it. I have to do it, so yeah. So this is what when I get by that stage and then I'm on to the album design, then this is where it's pleasure then. Thank God. But yeah, is there any questions on it?
Yeah, we do. We've got, not in any particular order, Audrey, but I'm going to try and sort of I know we've only got Andrew for about another 10 minutes, so I'm going to sort of just go through the Fundy stuff to start with, and then we've got some other questions for you. So
I can stay on from.
Absolutely brilliant. Okay, so with regards then, so we're talking about workflow. We'll stay on the wedding edit at the moment. So obviously we can see that you allow your time. Typically then, what does a wedding take you then in the edit process? How long would it take you to do sort of a whole wedding?
Like in what sense? Like an actual day?
From the cull, so obviously we know we can do an album in these days with Fundy and the likes of 20 minutes, but how long does sort of the whole sort of wedding edit process take you then to complete its first album to show the bride and groom?
If I'm honest, it depends on how, what would you say? Like if I'm not procrastinating, because I'm doing something I really don't want to do, I'm like trying to find something else that I shouldn't be doing more. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, if I really had to be disciplined with myself, I could cull, edit, and do an album design, I would say within about 3 hours, if I really was disciplined about it.
And with regards to the images, do you preview them to the bride and groom before you do the album design?
We actually did, and it has worked such a treat for us. What I found that whenever in my earlier days we used to provide the images to the couples so that they could select the pictures for their album, I just found it took far too long for them to get back. So I then, probably mid-season, my 2015, I started to do pre-design albums because I found that the pictures that they were picking weren't real, didn't make sense. And because I'm a graphic designer, I want everything to be visually pleasing. So they were picking images that I thought, that doesn't work with that. That can't go on the same layout with that. So what I started to do was I started to do pre-designs. So I've done them since, and they've worked such a treat for me now. So what we do is then, so we will edit, we will cull, edit, and then obviously export the images to the album design. We'll do up the album design, and it's album design plus then we put the images up online as a reference, kind of like as a reference book, and we will give them their album design, which we have picked basically all the pictures for, and they use then the images online as a reference to, like, if they didn't like anything that we had. And the majority of the time, because we're both, like, I've got a girl, Suzanne works for me, and she's a graphic designer as well, because we kind of know what pictures to put in, and we're kind of good with the selection process now. Very few people do many changes, and it just had sped up our workflow so quick. So we're now getting albums out like hotcakes. So yeah, so if anybody's not doing pre-design, I would completely recommend it. I know a lot of people upsell. I'm not an upseller because I'm going back to my words. I know it's not dishonest what you are doing, but for me, I don't feel right doing it. So what I do is I just create this album and put pictures in it, and I give them what I believe is good value for money. I don't do any upselling, but I don't know, that could maybe differ from.
I think that's getting quite common with the amount of guest photographers and wedding photographers that we have actually doing talks for us now. The sort of album pre-design. I mean, I remember recently one of the guest photographers was saying that if they buy they choose the pre-design, then it's X price, and then if there's any changes, then there was a cost per change. But they found that as a whole that they were going, they were just buying the album as it was. There was very little changes to be made, and they just felt that by not offering it, and as long as obviously with the tools that we have here, obviously, and your design background, that you can turn out a fantastic looking album anyway. More like you said, it's just killed in a good way that whole sort of to and fro process that there used to be with the pre, choosing your favorite images and this, that, and the other. I think there's a lot like you, Audrey, are doing that, and we absolutely do that.
My selling point to it as well to couples is that like I always explain this to couples whenever they come to see me. I always tell them, I'm going to be selecting your pictures basically for your album, and I always just would say, because like. After your marriage, after your wedding, you get back into normal life pretty quick and back into work and stuff, and it takes a long time, and just for them to sit down and pick pictures and stuff, and I just explained to them that I've been waiting. It's like sometimes I waited 2 years for couples to get back with their images, and I just thought it was going into like 2 more seasons, and then it just was a nightmare. So I just then like to get the season finished when it's there and then.
We've said this before. We have a wedding album here that has come through 3 studios and is yet to be collected. And we still contact them every few months to say, are you coming in to collect your album? And they're going, oh yeah, we'll get around to it. And it's probably been here for about 8 years now. And Mark has said to Debbie, his wife, I don't want them to have it anymore. The photography is just shocking compared to what we put out today. But we just don't know why they haven't picked it up. But Debbie sees it as like a bit of almost like a good, she can't bring herself to get rid of it. We're not any obligation to keep it. But it just follows us around. It's almost like a bit of a shrine. When we bought the new premises, I said we should have it plastered into the wall as a feature. But no, she's not having it. It's still here, which amazes me. But, what was that?
Left on it, Jay? Is there a balance left on it?
No, it's all paid for. It's all paid for.
Yeah, see, because I can understand people that maybe don't collect their album because there's maybe a balance left. Like I can see that a lot. That's one thing that I would actually do as well. I make sure that I get the balance up front before the day. So there is none of that. People will then collect their album because they've nothing to owe. The money's there as well whenever they have their wedding.
We don't actually know. We don't actually know where they live anymore. Otherwise, we would have just delivered it. So every time we move, and she gets a reply by email, every time we move premises, we're saying that we're now here, the album's ready. And she'll get a reply, oh yeah, we'll be in touch. And it's just, Mark and I just think it's mad, but Debbie's got this thing about keeping it. So we're keeping it, and it's here. And one day, maybe it'll show up. But
you would fire it out, and the next day they would come come look for it.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't it?
So we're staying with the weddings
So,
and sort of the album design.
So I
Sorry,
had
Andrew.
I had one quick comment. There was a couple of questions about retouching and workflow,
Yeah.
and so I'll let Audrey answer how she does it. But there's a few different ways to retouch photos in Fundy Designer. Usually photos, once people bring them in, maybe they've done their editing in Lightroom. But Audrey, can you click on Fundy Designer again, just to bring that to the forefront?
yeah.
So we have some built-in automated skin retouching for Perfectly Clear that is great. Additionally, if you click on a photo,
I think I have it on. I think I have done it on this one here.
yeah. So
if I click on this,
so you can do the automated skin retouching, which you see is quite beautiful here.
so if
Or
I take that off.
that's fine. Why don't you go ahead and close that? So a lot, photographers are quite picky. So we have a few different options. So the Perfectly Clear is great. Also, you don't have to click on the icon, but that pencil icon underneath each photo will launch that photo into Photoshop automatically, allow you to retouch there. And then also under the Images menu up at the top in the menu bar, you'll see a few different workflow items that can be quite handy for speeding up your workflow. Can you click on that Images menu at the very top? So there's export images for retouching. Will make a copy of every photo that was used in the album, so you can retouch those in bulk in one folder if you want. Export a copy list for Lightroom, so that will bring up a list that's Lightroom friendly, so you can paste that list back into Lightroom and give a little bit of extra love to only the photos that were in the album in Lightroom. And then anytime that you have done any editing to those files, you'll have the retouch files in a folder, or if you export from Lightroom into a new folder with those retouch files, up at the top, the third option, the resync images, that will allow you to point Fundy Designer to a new folder of images that maybe you've retouched, and it will sync those to Fundy Designer. So a few different workflow opportunities there depending on how you like to retouch.
What I liked as well is that you can, as this one here, I think, if I click on this one, it actually takes that whole group of images into Photoshop.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here, so it'll edit all, or if you just want to edit that one, then it's this one here. So that's handy if you just want to, if you want to edit all that cluster in the one, it'll bring them all in individually. So it's like this one. Okay, so maybe.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you probably don't have your hard drive connected, so it won't pull up. But yeah.
That's funny. Just keep going. Okay now. So
the other thing, Andrew, that I wanted to ask you quickly. Sorry to interrupt. The other thing I wanted to ask you, Andrew, quickly before we lose you, is that when Audrey was, we chatted just briefly then about sort of obviously previewing the album to the client. There's quite a good preview feature in in the package, isn't there?
Yeah, so the design proofer will allow you to send out a link that your clients can click on to proof their album, and we've made it very easy to approve the album. They can go in and make changes also, and then also it sends out automated email reminders that remind them to proof their album also.
Yeah, no, I remember we'd showing us that. I mean, you talked about it when we had you on a few months ago, and we thought that was a great feature, something that we hadn't used before, but we use it now.
Right. I'm going to have to go out. I'm going to be on a podcast, but Jack is here with us. He'll continue to answer questions in the questions panel. So if you have questions about Fundy Designer, continue to answer those, and you guys keep going. Thanks,
Andrew. Thanks for joining us. Talk soon, pal. Take care.
Okay, bye, Audrey. This is actually a feature here that I actually really liked, because the other softwares, I couldn't export them out as high res like layouts, you can say, for like if you wanted to do like different sample albums, whatever. Like, so you might have had a nice design, but if I wanted to I wanted to like bring that design and use like a different company, say, I would have had, I went and got the PDFs off like the album company, whatever, like, because it was built into their software. So I actually like this option that I can actually export it for print. So like all these here then come high res like layouts. So I then can send this on then to like any album company to get a sample done. Also, like if like what we have like album of the year like in the awards as well, so like it's something then that I can use then to even submit into something like that. This is a feature then that I just found that was something extra than the other software that I used to. So yeah, so we'll probably come out of Fundy now, will we, Jay?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got most of the questions are kind of they're all for you. There's a couple here that we might touch again, but they're really sort of about you and your methods and your workflow now anyway. So yeah, we can. Do you want to? You going back? Yeah, you go. You've got your slides. Perfect. I'm seeing that clearly.
Yeah. So this again is just. I'll actually just show that. I'll show that at the end. So I do brand design as well. So this was just me. My newest one. Because I'm a graphic designer, I do, as I say, it plays a great advantage whenever you're building businesses and building as many different brands as I am. Again, so I have this. I told Jay I have to get my wee car in, so I did. So yeah, so basically, like I know a lot of people don't like to advertise on cars because it like does it do something to your insurance or something, but this is like I just find whenever I'm at a wedding, people tend to respect me more now because like they see that I'm the photographer, you know, so they'll be more courteous. And if they see me behind like the wedding car, they'll go, oh well, that's the photographer, let's let her out as well. Also whenever it's sitting out in the car park, say, people can see who the photographer, actually the name, so they can check out on Facebook, and if you think that you've done a good job. So like I actually had slides on there as well about your presentation, you know, like how you present yourself, which I find is very important at weddings. Because you don't know who's watching you. I got a wedding booking because a girl liked my tweeted coat, and that's not even a joke. That's not even a lie. She was at a friend's wedding, and she liked how I looked. So like, just always be conscious about what you're wearing, and you know, like keep your car clean. My car is not clean like this, Ellie, at the minute. But if I'm doing a wedding, I make sure it's washed. So let's just be simple things. This is a slideshow that I have. I might skip it because I don't think it's going to run very well. It's on my fine artwork, but if you want, you can just go and check out my fine artwork in my summits up there. So this is my different avenues where you'll find me, and you can like me or follow me or send me an email, whatever. So yeah, oh, I'm not going to say that. So questions now.
Okay, so let's go back and stay on the album workflow. How many do you have a set number of spreads to an album and a set number of images that you present in the album?
Okay, I would say that I'm pretty generous when it comes to my album. My albums for my couples. I use Graphite, but I also use GS Smith. And I can max out like their albums at like minimal cost, you know, like the GS Smith ones, like I do 100 pages, which I know sounds like insane, but again, it's just something that I feel like if I want to tell a story, then if it doesn't make much a difference in cost, then I like if it's difference in 60 pages and 100 pages, it's only going to cost me next about 20 or 30 pounds. Then you know I'll max it out. Again, I feel like as well it helps with my design, and this is a graphic designer. I mean, and we were always taught, you know, to please the eye. So this leaves it then that I can fit in, you know, those like one-page images. Keep it a wee bit more simpler with cluster pages as well. I give a hell of a lot of pictures. It just depends on which package they go for, which collection they go for. I've got 3 different collections, you see, and they all kind of differ. But if that's my first collection, then images are whatever I can fit in to 100 pages, basically, and if I feel like it tells the right story. So yeah, I probably am pretty generous.
Oh, it does sound it. I mean, yeah. You know, it's different for different people, isn't it? People have their different.
Yeah, it's true. And this is what makes me sleep at night. Do you know what I mean? So that's what it's all about.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we've gone from, you know, 5 hours of sleep a night to 8 hours of sleep a night. So it's like obviously working. So, you know, I paid attention. Was I right? 5 to 8? Is that what you're getting now? Something like that?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Now I gotta set up and watch stuff. Get and watch like Netflix.
I'm going to tell Mark.
Like a real life thing.
I'm going to tell Mark that he does. You know, he's working me too much, and I need more sleep time. I don't think it's going to go down very well, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to say Audrey says so.
Yeah.
Audrey says so. Absolutely.
Yeah. You need
Um,
to know.
where am I? I've just lost my place on my questions. Oh, there we go. So obviously you talked about you talked about. Sorry, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
So you talked about obviously that you've changed the structure, so you've got more your work balance and so on. Obviously, you changed your pricing structure along the way because you've said obviously you kept your pricing up. Did you find that you lost clients when you started becoming more expensive?
Actually, my clients have just become better. I find that it got rid of, like, it's not nice in saying it, but the cheaper kind of clients, and now my clients are a wee bit more, I don't know what would you call it. I'm trying to find the right words for them. They've got nicer weddings because they've got more money. And plus, I find that some clients then that really maybe are on a basic budget, they will just treat me like gold. Then if I'm their probably biggest part of their wedding budget, but because of that, then they feel like they've really got something. Do you know what I mean? So they can shout about it to their friends and things like that. So it's different. You get clients that do respect, like, quality, and I'm a sucker for that. I think if something's dear, it's dear for a reason. Something's cheap, it's cheap for a reason. My husband tells me different. My husband tells me, like, no, that mattress wasn't ever that price. But I think, like, I would go for the dear kind of thing rather than the cheaper thing. So I think that there's for clients, it's different. There's people there that do like to buy stuff that's expensive, and then there's others that it's a real luxury for them. So it's a real treat, and it's something that they can shout about to their friends, and like they've got me as a photographer kind of thing, like at their wedding. Hope that doesn't sound like I am somebody, but
it sounds, yeah. I mean, it's the answer I was hoping for, because we teach business mentoring here, as I know you do, and a lot of it is about, obviously you need to be a master of your craft. Don't get me wrong, and you should be always striving towards that. But as we often come across, a lot of believing in yourself is sometimes half the problem. And I think you've touched on that in a big way today. About changing your attitude, the positivity and so on, but believing in that you're worth every penny that you're charging. And it is, of course, there's marketing. You're marketing to the right people. So often we market to the wrong audience, and it's marketing to the right people. But you've worked hard at where you've got to.
Yeah, it's not come easy.
No, it
but
doesn't.
I love it.
Yeah.
Get rid of my wedding phone. But apart from that, then everything else is a dream.
Excellent.
I'm loving my life as a teacher as well, and as like a mentor and stuff. Like, because I want to kind of, like, I'm hoping to be like a life coach as well. So, like, because I'm so passionate about, like, people living a life that they love, I really want to share that with people. And because there's so many people out there so negative, and they get to the end of their life and they'll have so many regrets. So yeah, so I'm actually thinking of doing like life coaching and things as well. So again, my workflow then this last while, and I've kind of brought my weddings down, I've brought, is then to make way for these other avenues that I'm looking to pursue as well, which is good that way. You have to also remember that nothing happens overnight. And it's took me literally about, God, I don't know, maybe about 5 years. No. Well,
absolutely, it is work.
Yeah.
But
Take a wee while. It doesn't happen overnight. You have to respect the fact that it does take a wee time to get filtered through.
What I loved that we touched on at the beginning of the presentation as well, and again, if we had all the hours under the sun, we would have talked about it in more depth. But I love the fact that how much importance you put on the personal projects and keeping yourself creative. I mean, that's something that we're very big on here at the Academy. It's so important. It was quite interesting that you talked about that your personal projects reflecting your love of horror movies, and we would do it, and we do it here. We pick themes, and it's often we did a fairy tale, not fairy tale theme. It was the dark. We did a whole thing on the darker fairy tales, and we do movies all the time. I remember doing my first college photography project was based around the black and white movies of Alfred Hitchcock, and I tried to recreate them and create iconic scenes from from his movies in my photographs. So it's important that we take we take from our surroundings and our loves and our interests and put that in. Personal projects is a big thing. I'm really pleased that you talked about that tonight.
It's so important, because I feel like, you see, whenever the difference, whenever you're getting paid for work to work that you're not getting paid for, and then you can really just go mental with it. So that's why some of my work is really out there, is because nobody can stop me. Do you know what I mean? I'm not working with a brief. I'm not working with like I'm trying to keep somebody happy. I'm just trying to keep myself happy. So that's why I then have split it, and I need my personal projects now, because we are all creatives as well. And we're all have creative minds. So I feel like if you're getting paid clients and you've got that restriction all the time with paying clients, and you know that you can't go mad with it, then you start to get into like a set kind of way of thinking. So you just need that wee bit of freedom, a wee bit of free-mindedness, just to kind of, I call it trashing my brain out. That's what I kind of call it. And then obviously then I can get judged on. I can submit them to get a wee bit of reward from them with the likes of the competitions and things like that I submit to.
Brilliant.
So yeah, the must personal projects.
To be honest, we're getting through most of the questions. There's a few things that I want to share with you, but I thought this was a good question. One of the few questions at the end here, and we get this quite a lot. How do you find separating your personal Facebook from your business Facebooks? Are you quite big on that? Do you keep your personal, or does it bleed into your business stuff at all?
I believe that my clients want to see personality in your business. So that's why you stole it from my Facebook page, Jay. That's why I had a picture of me with my dog as my C2 profile picture. I think people buy into people. They don't buy into like profiles or logos or anything like that. So I think it's nice, like if I have anything personal happening in my Facebook page that I know that like my personal page, if I know that my fans and my C2 page might get benefit, might get to know me a wee bit more and warm to me a wee bit more, then I'll share it onto my Facebook page. Not like you have to be you have to be a bit realistic about it, not like nights out. So you have to think anything that will make your business look respectable, not like drinking or anything like that. Well, I don't really drink or go out or anything anyway. But things that even the like an achievement or something, or like I don't know. There's just be things I do share onto my Facebook, my business Facebook page, that I think then that it can help my clients to warm to me more. That I'm not just this like profile. So no, I think it's important, but to a certain extent, don't do the whole nights out and actually in my own personal page, I would keep my stuff like that off Facebook anyway, because I have a lot of photographer friends as well as my friends, and a lot of like suppliers, and a lot of people that's inspired by me as well. So I don't want them kind of losing interest if you have all this like
I think to some extent when you are in business and you have when you are out there, your kind of personal page becomes an extension of your business page, really, anyway, isn't it?
Actually, that's one of the reasons why I kind of stopped going out locally. We don't really go out much, like as like to socialize. Like me and my husband like our cinema dates and stuff like that, because I like my movies. But I found that any time that I went out locally, I found it really hard to get drunk. Surprise, surprise, I'm an Irish that can't get drunk. But I just find, but you know what it was? It was the fact that I was in a room full of people, and I was a business owner, and I could have been somebody's wedding photographer. I could have like been somebody's like newborn photographer, whatever. And for me, if I was like drunk and like lying about, like really kind of unprofessional looking, then I know that has a knock-on effect on my business. So I think you have to be in business, like in every aspect of your life. You have to be a business person, regardless of where you go, because it's down to you, especially something as personal as like you're a photographer. Do you know what I mean? Because you are kind of, I am my business basically, and that's like people connect to me. So yeah, I'm not telling everybody not to go out and drink, but yeah.
No, absolutely brilliant.
That's my life.
I thought this was quite nice. My personal projects, talking about personal projects, this has come through, is actually photographing my family, because obviously it's so important to remember these things. And it's quite interesting that you touched that you've not had a family portrait,
Yeah.
you know. So I thought that was quite a nice touch there. Can you just quickly remind us, Audrey? You mentioned the wedding albums that you prefer. What were they again? Somebody missed it. The album suppliers.
So the album suppliers I use is GF Smith, which are pretty good with me. I've been with them from day not. I use as well Graphic Studio. I love their DMA, as do my clients. And I also use like another, well, actually, you know, son, I don't. I've still not got a sample on it, so I'll just ignore that one. So basically, GF Smith and Graphic. I believe that you should keep it really minimal. I do the same with my products in the studio as well. Again, if you can go simple, 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 it keeps your workflow to a minimal. So like I only do like no more than 3 molds in my studio, you know, like frames. But those 3 ones could have like different colors. I keep my product line very simple. Again, I had this on another slide, but I just took it all out because I know that we were kind of stuck for time now. So yeah, it's just about simplicity, I feel, and just keeping things simple in life and your pricing structure, and you have to know your business as well. So you have to know your numbers, you have to know your time studying, do your time study. Like if somebody asks you a question of how much something costs in your business, you should be able to answer straight away. You know, it's just wee things like that, and then you become more confident in your business. And then that confidence then obviously then filters through to your clients. They can see that you're confident in your prices and things like that. And also it stopped me a lot with giving things away for free. So whenever I knew my numbers and how much I should have been making, to like just guesstimating it, it made me being really kind of stubborn then with like, you know, no, I can't give you a discount, you know, so because you know what it's worth and you know what you should be charging for it. Without that, then you're completely clueless and you don't know if you're making money or you're not. So yeah, did that answer that question?
Yeah, no,
did I go off on
perfect.
there?
Yeah, no, perfect. Audrey, we've done all the questions. There's a few things before we quickly talk about some stuff that you've got going on, but a few things I don't want to forget to share with you from the audience to you tonight. There's loads of thanks and praise coming through, but I kept a few. There is, honestly, I kid you not, I'm going to read you
People
some.
like that.
They were here.
Just
They
me.
promise you they were here, and they still are. I do. What was this came on really nice. This came on at quite early in the presentation, but I kept it on purpose. You said something. Does it make sense when you were talking about getting your head around your meditation and your balance and your timing and your family and your balance? And they said it all makes perfect sense, and it's nice to hear somebody actually say it out loud for a change. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. Because you know, I feel like this kind of like what I'm into at the minute, like I'm into my crystals and all now as well. So what I'm into at the minute, I feel like it can be a touchy kind of like, people don't want to open up and talk about it because people think they're weirdos. But I think now after people seeing my work that they think I'm a weirdo anyway. So I feel like I'm more open to it. But like my Chloe thinks I'm weird, but I don't know. I think people are becoming more open-minded to things. They're not as narrow-minded as we used to be. There's a lot of people starting to meditate, and there's a lot of people just starting to wake up a wee bit more. Like Northern Ireland, they can't get any more narrow-minded than Northern Ireland. Do you know what I mean? So I actually don't care anymore. If it benefits me, that's like, don't be scared of judgment. Like that's why I produce that kind of fine artwork. Like I don't fear judgment. The only failure I actually have in life is the only fear I have is failure. So I think we should all live our life, you know, like it's our last, or not. Well, it's our last.
Absolutely, no. It's, I
you know,
completely.
like, I have no regrets. So I, you know, just plow on and take risks, take jumps. Like I can't believe how far I've come actually in doing like talks and stuff. Whenever Terry, my first talk was in 2017, I think. Yeah, a couple of years ago at SWPP. And when Terry, I submitted the thing, and Terry then accepted my talks, the 2 talks on the Saturday and the Sunday. I thought, shit, what have I done? But you know, it's the best thing I ever did. I was so petrified. I actually had told my, if Sally's out there, she'll know this. I had told my delicates as well. My class that I actually, before the class, I actually was like asking my grannies in heaven to send me strength to get through them. But you know, I got through it, and now I'm here, and it really has stepped up my profile a lot more. So it's like, don't fear. I think it's for me, it's like the fear is in actually thinking about it. Actually doing it's not that bad. It's the fear in the running up to it, but doing it's actually not so bad. It's like this actually webinar, I was like fearing it and thinking, oh my God, I've never done it before. You know, and it's turned out not so bad.
Didn't hurt, did it?
No, it didn't hurt. It still felt weird talking to my computer screen, but it's okay. I survived.
Well,
You just survived.
hopefully I will convince you to come back and show us the fine art. I really would like to do that. So we'll chat, we'll talk. I'll work on you. I'll work on you a bit more on that. But honestly, Audrey, I'm not kidding. There's about 10 comments here with the word inspirational in, and I mean it in a true way.
This was all right for me. Thank you so much.
From me to you, obviously, thank you so much for tonight. I know you were nervous, but you did a fantastic job, and the praise and the feedback alone, hopefully, has got across.
How can I not see it?
It's there, I promise. It's there. I don't know why you can't see the question panel. I'm not lying to you. I promise you. I can promise you. It's lit up again now. I'm not making it up. They loved it. I thought it was a great presentation, and Andrew left me a quick message before he left saying he thought it was inspirational too. So thank you so much.